This is Honestly Bilal, the show for the aspiring ophthalmologist, where we sit down with medical students interested in ophthalmology, residents who are training in ophthalmology, and current ophthalmologists who are practicing in the field today. My name is Chris, and I'm a third-year medical student at the University of Missouri. And you might be wondering where Bilal is. But yeah, my name is Chris, and I recently joined the team, and I'll be doing a lot of the medical student interviews from here on out. And today we have a very special guest. Her name is Emily Shu. She is a third-year medical student at my own institution, University of Missouri Columbia. She is a great friend of mine, and she is also interested in ophthalmology. She'll be applying this upcoming cycle. She is a superstar, and I'm so excited that I can talk to her today. Emily, do you want to go and introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hey guys, my name is Emily, third year medical student at the University of Missouri. I'm interested in ophthalmology, and it's one of the best fields that I've been able to partake in. I did my undergrad at Vanderbilt University, and I studied neuroscience and philosophy. It was a double major. So it was a really great experience, and I'm really excited to be here today.
Awesome. Emily, it's been a pleasure to get to know you the past few years. And obviously, we've gotten to know each other through various projects and leadership groups and whatnot. So thank you for joining me. So the first question I had was, it's a very broad question, but I think we all ask the guests on the show, what made you interested in ophthalmology? And can you tell us a little bit about your path in getting here?
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of feel like my life experiences kind of culminated in ophthalmology. I was a neuroscience major in undergrad, like I mentioned, and I always had an affinity towards the visual sciences. Whenever we would study the brain, we'd study the visual pathways, and that always fascinated me. I was very lucky to find ophthalmology early on because of my prior interests, and the common and crazy pathologies that you see piqued my intellectual interests very early on in medical school. And I started doing research in the field. Got to meet some really great mentors, like we like to say, and that has kept me continually interested in ophthalmology. Um, I like to say that I was very lucky in a way that growing up, I did a lot of artistic activities. Like a lot of kids, I played music, so I was classically trained in piano and violin. And because of that, I have very good hands. Got very lucky to have steady hands and very good fine motor skills. So coming into medical school, I also knew that I would likely want to pursue a surgical field. You know, why make my hands go to waste in a sense? Um, but even though it was really tough for me when I was younger, going through all that training, all of that, all of those rough nights in preparation for competitions and such, I think it's also prepared me well for ophthalmology as a field. As we all know, ophthalmology is very much surgery heavy, microsurgery, and dexterity is very important. And I was lucky enough to be able to shadow in the OR in some of the subspecialties and be able to practice suturing very, very small needles. And I really loved it. It was great. Working in a small space, working in a tiny field has been awesome. And then finally, I think ophthalmology has been really great because it has the ideal balance in various regards. So you have the ideal balance between clinic and OR, you have the ideal balance between arts and science, surgery and medicine, long-term patients and short-term patients. And I've found that to be absolutely great. And I think it's a great fit for me.
Oh, well said, Emily. Yeah, I can't agree more. I think it's a field that, like you said, has the perfect balance, strikes the perfect balance. And that's, I think, why it's such a popular field and everybody is so interested in it. I think switching gears a bit, I wanted to talk about your involvement in the Lens newsletter. So, I joined Twitter about 4 or 5 months ago. And when I first joined, I was browsing the Opto Twitter hashtag, and the Lens newsletter came up. And I was very curious what it was about. So I went online, I went to the website and started reading about it. And I thought it was super cool. And then I saw your picture on the leadership team. So I can't help but ask, first of all, what is the Lens? And second of all, what is your role within the team? And third, what is the future direction of the lens, and where do you think it's headed?
Yeah, so to break down the questions one by one, the Lens Ophthalmology Newsletter is a medical student run newsletter that serves to provide easy to read updates that comes into the email, your email inbox weekly. So we summarize and link some of the top ophthalmology journals, along with our rotating subspecialty section. And we also have end of the month quizzes to help medical students learn ophthalmology and keep up with the most recent research. So it's a great tool for medical students to learn ophthalmology. As we all know, ophthalmology is hard to get exposed to in medical school unless you seek it out. So this is one way that we're trying to reach out and get more students involved and interested. I joined the team back in the fall, maybe around October or so. And I started by writing research summaries for the state of Missouri. So research summaries from our institution, from WashU, from St. Louis University, and other research groups in the state. And that was to send out to people who are interested in that. Now I'm the glaucoma section writer, so I summarize the latest glaucoma research. It's pretty tough because there's a lot going on, so I have to kind of pick what would be most interesting to medical students to learn. So that's been really fun, and it's been beneficial for me as well, since I also do glaucoma research, to keep up with the field and know what's going on. And then finally, for future directions, we are also working on a podcast. We have the secret podcast project that you get to hear it here first. um, and it's going to be made for medical students, like with the greater goal of the Lens Ophthalmology Newsletter itself. I'm not going to talk too much about what it's going to be about. So just know that you get a little sneak peek if you listen to Honestly Bilal.
Yeah, that is awesome, Emily. So I'm trying to get a better understanding of what the lens is. So basically, it's obtaining the most recent high impact research projects and manuscripts, and basically making it easy to read for students. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great way to summarize it. A lot of times, the summaries that we write are written by medical students for medical students. So it's in a language that is easier for us to understand, especially when you're first starting out in ophthalmology. And a few times, it's actually been really great too, because you can mention it to your attendings that I saw the summary of this research article, I can link it to you. It's they showed this, and it's nice to show interest in the field in that way as well.
Awesome. And we're part of the same research group at Mizzou, and we have the same mentor in Dr. On, and she has always raved about your ability to be a great writer. So I think the lens is a perfect way for you to express and kind of show that talent. So a podcast, is that something where you're going to be sharing the same kind of information, but just through an audio format? That is like really exciting to me. And how did that idea kind of come about?
The idea of the podcast was part of a greater plan for the lens. And I came on with an interest to participate in a podcast as well. Again, I'm not going to talk too much about what it's going to be about, but it is going to be for med students to perform well in their ophthalmology rotations, I think is a fair way to summarize it.
Okay. Wow.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah,
That,
but I have been interested in podcasts for a really long time. I like to joke that in a way I've been a hipster when it comes to podcasts because I listened to a lot of them even when I was in middle school and high school, and then now they've become very mainstream. So I was here first. I'm kidding. um, but now I think there's a difference between intaking media and content versus producing media and content. And I think at a time where I'm very interested in producing these kinds of content. So I think it was a great fit for me to join the Lens newsletter and push forward, spearhead the podcast initiative as well.
Awesome. I think there are very much exciting things coming for the lens. And I'm excited to see what's going to happen in the future. So I think this is a perfect kind of segue to talk about your research. And I know you're doing research in the field of glaucoma, and specifically with Dr. Jella An, who's the glaucoma specialist here at the University of Missouri in Columbia. So I know you're doing a ton of projects and there's a lot going on right now, but without revealing too much of the details, could you talk briefly about your research right now and what topics specifically within glaucoma you're kind of researching?
Yeah, the research topic that I've been working on in the last 2 years or so has been on an eye drop called Nitarcidil, brand name Ropressa or Rocklatan, if it's Ropressa combined with latanoprost. And it's a really, really great drop. It's great at reducing intraocular pressure in these patients. And it's a novel class. It's pretty new. It was FDA approved in February 2017. So that's pretty new. And it's been I've been lucky. I've been really lucky to be able to work on projects regarding Nitarcidil and working on these projects and being able to work with our big team of student researchers and having the opportunity to present at various conferences. So most recently, I got to present my research at the American Glaucoma Society as a poster, and I got a lot of great feedback. I had a ton of comments that I got to respond to, um, and uh, and it was just really great. I have a research recording as well that will get posted online, hopefully at some point. Dr. An had asked me to send it to her so she can post it to her YouTube. So there's a little bit of that I'm really lucky to be able to participate in that. And it's been really fulfilling also as a medical student to participate in the field with all these experts. American Glaucoma Society is top of the top, some of the best stuff. So being able to be there and hearing their praises of my presentation, my research has been great.
Yeah, Emily, again, really well said. I think another thing, the field of ophthalmology is so supportive, and that's another thing as to why I'm so interested, and I'm sure that's why you're also interested in ophthalmology as well. So, I just congratulations again on your research, and it's great that you were able to present at AGS, which is one of the biggest ophthalmology conferences. Okay, so we've talked a little about the lens, we've talked about your research, we talked about why you wanted to become an ophthalmologist. I want to kind of segue into a little bit something a little bit more personal, and talk about what you do outside of school and research and ophthalmology. Do you have any specific hobbies that you're interested in nowadays? I know for a fact that during undergrad you were really involved at Vanderbilt, and you're a dancer, and I'm sure you don't want to talk about it, but I want you to talk about it. So, any hobbies that you're interested in right now, and yeah, just whatever you're doing outside of school.
Thank you, Chris, for revealing my secret talents. So yes, when I was in undergrad, I was part of a dance team. We were a K-pop cover dance team, which is pretty popular nowadays amongst undergraduate communities. I served as the artistic director for a period of time, filming videos, editing videos, and then I was also eventually the dance team director in my last year. So that was really fun, also a great honor. And I actually started off not being that great at dancing. I did a lot of traditional Chinese dancing when I was in elementary school, middle school, as part of Chinese school that I went to on Sundays, and didn't really participate in hip hop or urban or movement, as they call it now. Um, but when I started off at Vanderbilt, they didn't have a dance or an Asian type of dance team. So we were the first group to create that and bring that to the community. So that was great. And the way that we got better, initially when you start a team like this, you're not going to get the best people, right? It's the newest thing on campus. No one really knows what the heck this is. So the way that we ended up getting better and better. And now it's one of the best dance groups on campus. As a proud alumni, I can say that now. Um, we would record our practices with our phones. And that would help us with cleaning, with hitting our lines and our marks, and with the timing, and also coordinating and matching with everyone in the team. So slowly, I think over the course of 2 or 3 years, we got really, really good. And they got even better after I graduated. So I'm a very proud alumni of the team. Um, One of the things that makes me most excited about that team, though, was that we were able to help students who did not dance much or were not confident to become confident. And I think that's one of the powers of dance and music. You can break down the external barriers that people have and make people enjoy themselves, and makes people relaxed and happy and show who they are on the inside. And I think that's one of the best parts of dance, one of the best parts of music. In fact, I think I'm inherently pretty shy, but after leading a team like that and being so active on campus, I've learned to become more confident and brought out a lot of my personality in situations when I would otherwise just close in. Um, but yeah, I think that's a little ramble, but I love dance. I haven't danced very much in medical school. Um, at least when I do dance, I no longer record it and put it on the internet. I think it's fair to say. It's a lot of when I have free time in my living room, I will still record. I'll still learn some of the latest dances if I have the chance, but there's not enough time to clean and make it really precise and cover it exactly like the original artists. Um, so I miss that a little bit, but it's something that really brings me a lot of joy.
Yeah, Emily, I mean, it's tough during medical school, obviously, because we're doing something all the time with whether it's clinicals, whether it's research or studying or getting ready for the week. But I think it's awesome that you have a passion that you obviously are very passionate about, and that you've kind of led throughout undergrad, and that you're still kind of interested in medical school. I think that's awesome. Well, that was a great interview. Thank you so much for joining me today. Before we end, though, I wanted to ask you if you could share your social media profiles so that everybody who would like to get to know you better can get to know you better through a virtual platform. I know that you're active on Instagram and Twitter, and you have a lot of content for everybody. So, do you want to let us know what your handles are?
Yeah, absolutely. My Twitter account is EMXUMED, so pronounced MSHUMED. And my Instagram account is at EMXU.MED, so MSHU.med.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Emily. Thank you so much for giving us your time today. I had a lovely time. And for the latest news for Honestly Bilal, please check out Bilal's Instagram or Twitter. And I am excited to share that there's a lot of new updates coming for the group. So please stay tuned, and thank you so much.